Good morning on what is a warm, bright and sunny day. It is Saturday the 22nd of June and I'm in the reading up a nice hot cup of tea. And new box, just one box, and this arrived this morning. Oh, there we go. Oh, can't see what it is, but let's find out what it is. Slide that out. Oh, it's a Doctor Who book because I can tell by the packaging and the colour of the book. And this is Doctor Who role-playing game 2nd edition, Adventures in Space. This, I think, is a book of scenarios. So, Adventures in Space. The Doctor's adventures take them to hundreds of alien worlds where anything can happen. Explore some of the distant planets and create new worlds of your own. Adventures in Space provides a whole host of planets to explore for your Doctor Who role-playing game adventures, including rules for creating your own new alien worlds, along with their inhabitants. 20 planets from the series are covered, as well as exciting environments for the Game Master to set their epic adventures. Each entry provides plenty of adventure ideas, as well as a glimpse into each planet's history. Adventures in Space features alien creation rules, create new adversaries and NPCs to your alien worlds, or even newer alien characters to join Team TARDIS. Starships and space station creation rules. You don't have to explore the universe with the TARDIS, with revised spaceship creation rules to get you travelling to the stars. Alien world creation, new vistas to explore, strange places to see. A selection of planets from the series. Want to return to Skaro, Trenzalore, Khan, or Akaten? We've got you covered. Each planet looks at the environment and history and provides adventure ideas to get you started. So, Adventures in Space is a bit of a misnomer because you're thinking, oh, that's going to be Adventures in Space, and to give you scenarios. That's the trap that I fell into. It's actually a bit different to that. You might have perhaps been, I don't know, more accurate to call it, I don't know, worlds of adventure, that sort of thing. But anyway, open up, and you've got this really nice, just slightly faded TARDIS effect on the inside front and back cover. That's just a nice little addition. Doesn't add anything to the game, to the book itself, but it does add sort of like just atmosphere to the book. What you've got is that front cover without the text, and essentially this puts this book in particular during the reign of basically the incarnation of the 13th Doctor, played by Jodie Whittaker. That's fine, but of course all of the content can be adapted to the other 14th, 15th Doctors as you will. So, credits page, contents page, as you would expect. And again, this is published by Cubicle 7, which has essentially published more in terms of Doctor Who role-playing than any other publisher. There's been, trying to think, 3 or 4 role-playing games for Doctor Who in the past, but this one is the most complete in terms of its support. So, here we've got the introduction. And going on adventure in space. So essentially this is looking at travelling in time and space and the types of adventures you can have. So space adventures are social commentary. Doctor Who done it. Nice little pun there. There we go. The Rebel Doctor. Earthly inspiration and so on. And what's nice about this is that it's pointing. You can see basically the headline, the text in bold is referring to particular episodes throughout, the 60 years of Doctor Who. So the Rebel Doctor is referring to things like Sunmaker or Savages or the Happiness Patrol. Space Adventures as social commentary, again Sunmakers or Bad Wolf. So that, your prospective game master can go, okay, that's an interesting idea, and go and look at those episodes, for inspiration. So then we have space in Doctor Who, which actually travelling, actually being in space. Human ventures in space, humanity ventures in space again. That's a big theme of Doctor Who, encountering humanity out there, and then we get on to creating adventures in space, and a general advice on that process. So, and then we get into space and a ship of your own, because you do not have to travel with a TARDIS. You could actually play this as a sort of like more of a kind of traditional sort of science fiction role-playing game, but having kind of Doctor Who style adventures. So you've got rules in here for creating spaceships, from concept and focus. Like scout, explorer, infiltrator, and so on. Transport, passenger. All the different roles that your spaceship can have. Basically very science fiction kind of orientated, but again, Doctor Who has always been a science fiction story. It's a story, and then you assign attributes, and you've got a section there on corporate spacecraft, giving it spaceship weapons, and there's rules there for ship combat. If you're going to get involved in that, it's not very often that you do get spaceship combat in Doctor Who. Primarily, I think one of the big reasons is budget, and also because that's really kind of taking it away from the focus of the story, which is always going to be on the Doctor and his or her companions. You add distinctions to make it different, to make it stand out, and so on. And then we've got things like a spaceship recognition guide, including cyber ships, Dalek saucers, human ships, scout ships, colony ships, space cruisers. The idea of a section there, a castle as a spaceship, that's been done. And then we've got things like the Jadoon Enforcer, Sontaran ships, Ice Warrior battleships, Arc ships, Zycon bioships, and more. Then we discussion of space stations. I mean, the number of space stations that the Doctor has landed on over the years. Complete with a quick guide to zoning permission. Do you have permission to put your space station in orbit over, here? Anyway, now we got onto What Wonderful World. So this is talking about planets and settings that the Doctor can visit, or the Time Lord in your campaign. So again, going through the same steps: create a concept, choose a concept, focus, and they brought that. Essentially, you've got different types of those listed. So it could be contested ground, a mystery, a test, lawless, conquered, and so on. Add distinctions to make it stand out. Finishing touches, system creation, how many suns, the nature of the geography, is the world hostile, and so on. So, you different types of planetary systems which are not, Earth-like or, in the Goldilocks zone, including, at ice wastes, deserts, oceans, that sort of thing. Poisons that might be encountered, how hot and cold it is. Dangerous creatures that might be encountered there. And some examples, including, and then plus vicious vegetation. I would go with that. And then worlds of life, so this is again where you populate it with different creatures, and how to create your alien. And how opposite is that? And you've got a picture there of Suitcase. Literally, he's the monster, the big bad that he is appearing basically at the end of the first season of Ncuti Gatwa's incarnation, tied up with the story of Ruby Zetsu triad, you know, that's all tied up. And we've literally just got back to this last night from seeing the double finale episode in the cinema. That was fun. So yeah, basically discussion there about adding a big villain or a mystery, that sort of thing. And just general advice on creating a new species and giving them sort of like strange powers and abilities beyond what I can, and finishing touches. And I mean, this is in addition to all the creatures listed in the core rulebook, and then a guide to known worlds. This is basically starting off with Akaten. So you've got any location, environment, inhabitants, background, and so on, and then box sections of highlighting particular aspects of the setting. And this is it's actually done A to Z. So next is Androzani, major and minor, the two worlds at the end of Kaiser Androzani, the final story of Peter Davison. I'll go this. With lots and lots of extra detail. Desolation. Into minor, going back into the black and white era of Doctor Who. Khan, of course, visited a couple of times. Most recently in Night of the Doctor with the eighth Doctor. So numerous different types of worlds visited here, Lycurta, where the Rani was sort of like opera first really encountered, the infamous library with the National Verada, and you know, who turned out the light, a terrific story. So a wide range of worlds, you know, from across Doctor Who's long history and multiple storylines, all nicely detailed here. Of course, Metebelis 3, like Caves Androzani, like the Androzani, Caves Androzani, essentially the site of the Doctor's last episode. This is the third Doctor, John Pertwee. Mondus, dread home of the Cybermen. Earth. Ood Sphere, and their weirdness. Paladin for the diplomatic shenanigans in a big castle. Ribos. Essentially for doing your essentially Prisoner of Zenda style conspiracies. Of course, we've got Skaro, home of the Daleks, and another world particular to the Cybermen, Telos. You know, basically, essentially famous for the Tomb of the Cybermen, which is a terrifically scary story. Trenzalore, essentially the last stand of I'm trying to think, 9th, 10th, 11th Doctor. And then actually we do have an adventure in here, which is the Terror of Elbona 2. So you do get an adventure as well. So terrific. So we've got basic explanation of the background, discussion of essentially description and discussion of the world itself, plot, what's really going on. Notes here on the other planets in the system as well. So it's not ignoring the whole of the system, but this is a really nice full-length adventure, including being on a space station, so you've got to save a space station. And then there are additional problems faced as well. And discussion of things like, what do we mean by orbit and why do things burn up in the atmosphere? So you've got a little bit of science there to help you tell the story, of the station story of the scenario. Part 2, tearing the tunnels, and we're going to try and save the colonies, run around in a few tunnels, because obviously there aren't enough corridors to run down. And here we've got the stats for the monsters and aliens that you will encounter in the course of the adventure. And the actual NPCs. And essentially more details about the world, more specific about details about locations. And then at last we've got some adventure hooks, extras which you can use to develop fuller stories of your own as the game master. Notes there that we all scream for ice cream. So, you know, that's going to be weird. And then we've got an index at the end. And so on. I've got a couple of adverts for basically Doctor Who. That's the starter set, which is really kind of cool. And then another book, The Secrets of Scaravor, which I believe I've already got coming, which I will then review in unbox and review in due course. So that then there's the Game Master screen as well. So you've got adverts for those. But that's everything in Adventures in Space for Doctor Who: The Role-Playing Game 2nd Edition. I think that's a really useful source book. You know, just sort of like it's very sort of like generally utilitarian. I think in some ways, you know, there's a lot that you're actually going to use to help develop your own material, and then you've got an adventure as well to support that, and that's going to be quite a detailed and interesting adventure. So, hope you enjoyed this unboxing in the Nook. If you did, then please do click on the like button down below, and if you've got any comments or feedback, I do appreciate you taking the time to post those. And lastly, if you want to be alerted to get more unboxings in the Nook, where you'll see me out here with a package containing a book or game or role-playing supplement, in this case a supplement for Doctor Who: The Role-Playing Game 2nd Edition, which I will unbox and chat about to the best extent of my knowledge for roughly 10 minutes or so, all of course accompanied by a nice hot cup of tea, then please do click on the subscribe button down below. Thanks again for watching another unboxing in the Nook, and we'll be back again soon with another one. Bye for now.